go to the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline down in New Orleans. The head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Nate Oats, joins us now. Welcome in, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing wonderful. We thank you so much for coming on with us. I know ultimately you want to be coaching in the Final Four, but any basketball fan, the Final Four is just got to be fun to attend no matter what you're doing.
No, it is fun. I mean, I came up here as a high school coach to the Final Four all the time. I watch it every year. I'm a coach, but I'm a fan too. So you're right. We'd love to be coaching it. Hopefully we're coaching it here sometime soon, but I'm always a fan of college basketball for sure, so I'm happy to be down here.
So you're around all the coaches a lot as well when you're at the Final Four. With the way the portal is nowadays, do you do any recon on talking about some players who may be in the portal and talk to their coaches they're leaving programs? Do you have those type of conversations, and do you give conversations about guys who've left your program?
No, for sure. If you run into somebody or they run into you, those conversations are going to happen. No, I'm not trying to be the annoying guy trying to set up a meeting with a coach whose kid's leaving his program. I mean, obviously, we're going to do everything we can to help our guys leave our program, but sometimes kids are leaving other programs. The coach isn't happy about it. So if I run into him, I'm definitely going to ask, but I'm not setting up a meeting to do that, if that makes sense.
Well, I thought Dunaway was going to ask you with the portal if it was going to be a Will Smith, Chris Rock like moment at the coaching convention.
A coach walks up and slaps you or anything. But no, your recruiting obviously is some of the best in the country. You're a top 3 recruiting class right now with the guys you have coming in. But it does seem like the job is different now than it was 5 years ago. Just 5 years ago for you when it comes to recruiting. When you guys are all together, Are you guys discussing the positives or the negatives about the portal and how the rosters changed so much? Is that part of the discussion? And is there any concern among you power coaches of how the portal is working these days?
I mean, it's definitely changed, like you guys have said. It's even changed just in the last year. I mean, there's no COVID restrictions, so now you can be out to recruit the transfers. It's going to change every year. You got NIL stuff. Transfer without sitting. There's changes. Can you adapt? Can you figure out how the changes are going to affect it? Can you get to the forefront of it? So it's changing. I don't necessarily think it's bad, good, whatever. It's different. It is what it is. So we've got guys that are leaving our program, and sometimes it makes more sense. We've had 3 kids going to portal. I've had good discussions with all 3. It's not like there was ill will on anybody's part. It's, can they get to a spot where they're going to play more and be happier in their role? And, if they need to play more and they're not necessarily going to be able to play as many minutes as they want to or need to for where they're trying to get to here, then let's help them out and let's get them to the best spot we can. And in turn, then maybe we get somebody that maybe just fits in our system or what we need for next year a little bit better. So there's definitely a different aspect to the recruiting, particularly in the spring now than there was before. But I'm not upset about it. I'm nothing really. It's different. You got to just figure it out. It's a little different. If you can't change how the game's changing and change how the recruiting scene's changing, then you're going to get left behind.
Alabama coach Nate Oats is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He's down in New Orleans for the Final Four, so let's talk some about that. We were laughing earlier. Any other year, Coach, a Kansas-Villanova matchup would be incredible. Everybody would be salivating over that. It's only a Duke-North Carolina game that can make that be a second billing. Villanova and Kansas, 2 great programs like that.
No doubt. I mean, all the upsets that happened in the NCAA tournament, we're still – get down to a Final Four where it's Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Villanova.
I know.
The cream kind of rises to the top. I'm excited for both games. I mean, obviously the storyline is Coach K's last year. I still can't believe Duke, Carolina have never played in an NCAA tournament. That's crazy to me. So with all the NCAA tournaments both of them have been in and how that works. So, I mean, there'll be a 30 for 30, a book written on this year. I mean, Carolina was left for dead and weren't in the tournament a month and a half ago, and all of a sudden they're you think about their fan base. What if they end Krzyzewski's career in a game to go to the national championship game? I mean, that'd be crazy for them. And then on the flip side, if you're, a big Duke fan, what better way to get to the national championship game in Coach K's last season than beating North Carolina? I mean, that's definitely the storyline. But shoot, Kansas, Villanova, and for Villanova, I mean, here's the deal too. Villanova loses their second leading scorer, but they've got such a great culture that they're a program that can probably withstand that and, be able to stay in this game and have a chance to beat, team as good as Kansas can. So it's going to be an interesting 2 games here.
I'll be honest with you. If you the schedule you had this year, I am shocked that at least one of the teams you played this year is not in the Final Four. There was a moment I thought the entire Final Four would have been on Alabama's schedule at some point this year.
No, it's crazy. We played 4 Sweet 16 teams. We were 4-0 against them. We played 3 Elite 8 teams. And we were 3-0 against them. Arkansas, Houston, and Miami. Shoot, we beat Miami by 32. So we, those 3 all lost. They were 1 game away from the Final Four. Gonzaga was the number 1 overall seed. We played them and beat them. So we played a lot of really good teams, and they were good when we played them, and it showed how good some of them were by how well they played late in the year. And we're going to continue to schedule tough. We just, we like to make the same runs as the teams we're playing. Sometimes it's matchups, sometimes it's got to catch a break. We obviously did not catch a break with Quinterly tearing his ACL the first 4 minutes of the game, but we got to build a roster that can sustain some of those types of injuries, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but that's a fair question. You want to continue to schedule strong, but will it be as strong as this year? Do you want it to continue to be the number 1 schedule in the country every year, or did you learn a lesson maybe about this year's schedule?
You know what? That's a good question. We've talked about it. I think here's the deal. The games that gave us the number 1 schedule were probably Gonzaga, Houston. Those were obviously the MTE. There were some good games in there. But if we don't play Gonzaga and Houston, we don't end up as a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. We probably, we're maybe more of a bubble team without those 2 wins, if you will. So do we not play games like that and guarantee ourselves? I mean, college basketball comes down to the NCAA tournament. I mean, it maybe shouldn't be that way. There should maybe be a bigger emphasis on the regular season, but getting into the NCAA tournament, making runs in the NCAA tournament, that's what people remember. Well, we've been in the NCAA tournament back-to-back years. They haven't done that in 16 years here. They haven't gone back-to-back NCAA tournaments with a 6 seed or higher in 30 years here. If we don't schedule those games, we don't do that. So I don't know that we want to back off what we're doing. The Baylor game's a big one too, with number 1 strength to schedule. That we had nothing to do with that. That was the SEC Big 12 Challenge. They assigned that one to us. So we've got Gonzaga coming back to Birmingham next year. We got to go to Houston next year. Memphis is coming back to our place. We're playing in the PK 85 it's a loaded field, and we're I don't know if we'll be number 1 next year, but just with that right there, we're probably gonna be top 5.
Yeah.
So it's it kind of is what it is. We need to win some of those and put ourselves back in the NCAA tournament again.
Do you have a white whale? Do you have that team you were like, man, I'd love to see that Alabama Crimson jersey either at their place or them come to Tuscaloosa?
What was the good? Do I have a what?
A white whale. It's a Moby Dick reference there, Coach. I'm well
also
read.
Seinfeld.
Yeah. Also Seinfeld. I'm well read, Coach. Yeah. I mean, my career.
I'm not quite the Renaissance man that you are, obviously.
Yeah, so clearly not.
See, we're not on video today. This is by phone, but that was not a Dunaway question just because it was about some book.
That's right. It's a Brown question at Jacksonville State, Coach. At Jacksonville State, we had to read to get our degree.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably we had somebody in from an Ivy League school. You guys can kind of do your own. I'm not supposed to talk recruiting. They were talking about a 70-page paper they had to write to graduate from Princeton. 70-page paper. what do we got going on here? But, yeah.
Yeah.
I got obviously do a little more read some Moby Dick, I guess.
Yeah,
to
you
know what
need
we're
to,
talking about
Coach.
on these.
I would need some pictures on those 70 pages if I'm going to make it through that.
Do I get to count the table of contents? Is that one? Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So I guess let
You
me
didn't answer my question.
I'm
Anyone's got to answer my
I'm
question.
gonna-
I guess I
you
didn't get
know.
to the question. I need an interpretation, the Moby Dick interpretation.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to rephrase their question. Is there a coach or a team you'd like to do a home and home with?
That's a great question. Is there a team I'd love to do a home and home with?
I would love to see Izzo
man.
come to Tuscaloosa, to be honest with you. And
You
I
know
know
what, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yes.
Michigan State would be good. I can get back to Michigan, kind of where I made my name. There we go. Michigan State would be good. I don't want to necessarily coach against him because that's a grinded up affair. But for our fan base, it'd be good to schedule up. We could go with Duke. Duke, Carolina. I don't think those schools aren't really into playing big road games in the non-conference. Maybe we could see if Boeheim would play a road game in before conference play starts or something. That's from up in the Buffalo days.
Yeah, and
Western
Alabama
New York.
went up, they went up there one year. You
Yeah.
remember Alabama played at Syracuse? It was
Yeah.
back
Oh, really?
in the, I think the David Hobbs era back in the 90s. I remember Alabama playing.
and
up
his
there.
wife's from
Syracuse return it? Did Syracuse come back?
I don't remember them playing in Tuscaloosa.
Nate, there's probably in your upper right-hand drawer, there's probably a contract that
That's
says
right.
they owe you a game.
Maybe we can pull that one out. I'm sure they'll return it now.
But Izzo's friends with Nick Saban, and Boeheim's wife's from Alabama. Those are two easy games to reschedule. Get those guys to come hang out with Coach or come visit family with the wife and get them back in Alabama. Those would be great games.
There we go. We'll bring that up.
Yeah.
Maybe Saban and Izzo can hang out at Saban's house when he's in town.
Before you go, Coach, and we do appreciate the time, a lot of our listeners and viewers are wanting us to ask you, do you have a feel for J.D. Davison, what he's going to do as far as the NBA draft goes or come back and play next year?
You know what? They haven't given us a final answer, but the plan with him coming in was, we were going to do everything we could in 1 year. I mean, he was on draft boards. He's super talented. He's a McDonald's All-American. His upside's really high. His best basketball is definitely in front of him. With the way the draft is and the NBA is right now, those kids usually leave after 1 year. That was the plan with them originally. I mean, they said we'd reevaluate it after the year. I think everybody's got to get some more feedback from the NBA, see where he's going to go. And I was talking on national podcast last night. Every freshman in the country could get better by coming back. We all know that. But here's the deal. If you've got guaranteed money, if you're in the first round and you've got guaranteed money, it's really hard to tell a kid not to take that guaranteed money in the NBA.
Yeah.
So, and where we're at, I feel like you've got to do right by the kid every time, and everything will work itself out after that. If he's got guaranteed money in the first round, he should go, and he will go. And I think it's leaning more that way. But they haven't given me an answer for sure. They haven't signed with an agent. They're working through the process. He's got, his mom, his dad, his brother. They've got people working on getting the feedback that they need. We're helping them with that, and then, we'll get an answer at the appropriate time. But, the plan always was for him to be here for 1 year, and I don't think, he had, as all freshmen do, he was up and down a little bit through the year. But I think people saw what kind of upside he had. I mean, he dunked on Kessler on the one play. I mean, he's, some of the plays he made let people know what his ceiling is, and that's a lot of the NBA is what kind of potential do they have? What kind of kid are they? Are they going to make it? How good are they going to be 3, 4, 5 years down the road? And I think his upside's really, really high.
February 4th, 1996 in the Carrier Dome, 81-68, Syracuse beat Alabama. I cannot find a return game. So Jim Boeheim is scared.
They owe us one. They owe us one, huh?
That's
They owe
right.
you a trip.
He's scared if he won't come back, Coach. Jim Boeheim is scared.
Maybe we got to get to his wife, like you said.
That's
Maybe we
right.
gotta get to
Alabama girl. Tell her. Coach, thank you for the time. Enjoy the Final Four. Always fun talking with you.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Roll Tide.
All right. Take care. That is Nate Oats, the Alabama basketball coach from down in New Orleans, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.